Hey everyone, this is Patrick, aka PMalone4 on Facebook and King Gigasmon on DeviantArt.com. I'm just starting a little video today to, well, it's the first video I've ever made to post on Facebook. This is a video of my pre-Doctor Who premiere watch. In a few minutes, I will be watching the season premiere of Series 8 of Doctor Who, featuring the first episode, or premiere, of the 12th Doctor, played by Peter Capaldi. Right now, it's late at night, and I just got off work, and I wasn't able to be here when the first episode actually premiered, so I had to tape it, and I'm going to be watching the tape now, in a few minutes after I finish this, and then I will record my reaction video to afterwards, and just sync this up and let you know what I thought, and my pros and cons for it, and yeah, so I'll just let you go. This is just me being prepared for it, and hopefully my reaction will be positive. I'm pretty sure it will. I'm looking forward to it. And alright, I've got myself a little drink, I've got myself a little food to enjoy the experience, and I'm comfortable in my scally cap and my scarves, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's gonna be cool. Alright, well, see you guys afterwards. Alright, this is Patrick, and I finished watching the first episode of Series 8, and here's my reaction video. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic episode, a great way to start off the new series. And I really like how Moffat handled the introduction of this new Doctor. He seemed to have a lot of these same attributes that the 11th Doctor had, that kind of zest for life, that quirkiness about him, but in a lot of ways he seems kind of like a more mature, a very older and very wise and mature and somewhat more irritable version of the 11th Doctor, almost like he could be the 11th Doctor's father in a way, because he was definitely more like about matter of fact and more about getting to the business instead of just blindly going after the silly stuff. But he definitely still had time for silly stuff. I mean, all the normal parts of the Doctor are there, like his refusal to do anything that's normal or ordinary because it's less fun. One of the best moments is when he's going out of his room, he goes to doors and says, "No, door's not me." He goes out, and then he goes out the window because it's more fun. And so many, as I was saying, so many parts of the 11th Doctor are present in this new Doctor, such as the theme of the recurring idea that he's able to speak to animals, like he's able to speak to the T-Rex and speak to the horse. And it was just, I think it was a great way to remind us about these parts of the Doctor that never go away, that always are carried on to the newer versions. And but I especially like how they made him his own by having him a more of an irritable and kind of a grumpier version of this Doctor, but still having that kind of childish, like, zaniness to him. I have to say, I like how also Moffat is kind of like adding more Scottishness to the series, because for a long time Doctor Who seemed to kind of had an over-Anglification of its feel, because it's a British show, and Moffat's very cleverly adding in elements of non-English themes to it, like how Capaldi, who himself is also Scottish, like Moffat, is commenting and making jokes about the fact that he's regenerated into someone who is very Scottish in his mannerisms and his speech, and how he's even making jokes about the Scottish separation movement, about how his eyebrows look like they want to separate from the rest of his face and form their own state. It's like, oh my God, I'm Scottish now. And we just, those moments like that were extremely hilarious, and let's see, and I definitely liked the moments between Clara and Strax. His comments, his seemingness to forget how he's not supposed to be harming the Doctor, but then having to correct himself, like, when we find him, we shall dip him in acid. I mean, we shall not dip him in acid. That was just a great comedy, and the scene where he's examining Clara's mind, that is just comedic gold. And I also love how they managed to throw in some references to the previous series, like when Vostra first sees the new Doctor, she's like, well, here we go again, which is taken directly from Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart's comment about the Doctor when he regenerated from the third to the fourth Doctor in the last up serial of Planet of the Spiders. So it's great how they are still like showing tributes to the older series by bringing up lines or references to the older 63 and 89 series. Excuse me, I'm getting a little comfortable. And another thing I liked is how, as it happens in every single series since its revival, the first episode always has hints of the setting up of a new story arc. How it's always these subtle references to something, like how in the 11th hour the mentions of the cracks in the wall and cryptic mentions of something called the Pandorica were thrown in, and they were sprinkled through the episodes of the series 5 and eventually built up into this huge conclusion and climax in the final episode of that series. And in this episode, we definitely get hints of some upcoming storyline, such as the mentioning of something called the Promised Land, and the one question of who is it that set Clara up to meet the Doctor and who keeps bringing them together. It's definitely, and the ending with the robot ending up in paradise. I'm sorry if you haven't seen the episode yet, but you might want to stop now because. I've pretty much already said all the spoilers, so there's not much that can be done right now. I should have said don't watch if you don't want spoilers at the beginning, but what are you going to do? It gets you hooked because you know that this is going to be leading up to some storyline that's going to carry out through the whole series. You want to know what these things are and what they have to do with what's coming in upcoming episodes, And I have to give Moffat credit for taking what is essentially an older storyline of his and making it into something seemingly new. The plot of the robots harvesting organs in order to keep themselves going is basically taken from The Girl in the Fireplace, one of Moffat's actually his third story to the series in Series 2, which has the robots on the SS Madame de Pompadour cannibalizing members of their crew in order to keep themselves going and to fix their ship. And the Doctor even mentions in the episode how this seems very familiar. And it's kind of an in-joke because it is very familiar because it's the plot of a previous episode, but he also added elements of how that these robots are doing it because they're trying to stay alive, and well, it's more just the one robot who's doing it. He's doing it to keep himself alive, and in doing all this, he's pretty much almost turned himself into a human because he has emotions, he has human desires and aspirations, like his desire to reach heaven and his desire not to die. And it's quite a new take on an old idea of Moffat's, so I really liked it, and I liked how he was able to fit it into the backdrop of the Doctor having regenerated and having to get used to this new version of the main character. So I think it was definitely a great way to start the series, and he pulled it off very well. Shows that it doesn't matter if an idea is old, if you can tell it and retell it in a good way, it'll work. I definitely liked all these elements, and the dramatic elements were good, especially with Clara and the facing off against the robots and the Paternoster gang showing up and fighting against the robots. It was definitely thrilling, and the comedic elements were great, such as Clara and the Doctor's dialogue and how she's like making comments about his appearance, and he's making his usual non sequitur comments. One of the funniest parts is where the robots confront the Doctor, and he's like, "This menu doesn't have any pictures. Do you have a children's menu?" It's that kind of immaturity and quirkiness that makes Doctor Who so great and so lovable. And as one of the one of the most perfect little moments is when the robot is escaping and says, "Your friend is intelligent. He would know better than to chase after me." And directly below him is the Doctor going, "Hey, don't tell him I'm up. I'm going up. I'm following him." Which just shows that the robot's estimation is the Doctor is intelligent. He would have better sense not to chase after him. And it just shows that as smart as the Doctor is, he doesn't always have the best sense, as the best judgment. And I just love that. Now that that's said about what I liked about the episode, there are a couple complaints I had about it. I didn't really like how they characterized Clara in this episode, because she seemed very out of character about how she wasn't able to accept the Doctor. Because one thing is that the recurring idea is that she was supposed to be in love with the younger appearing 11th Doctor. And then she subconsciously at least thought of him as kind of a boyfriend to her. But I never really got that vibe from her during the second half of Series 7. She always mostly seemed like she cared about the Doctor, thought of him almost like a good friend, and almost like a brother or a cousin in a way. I never got a romantic vibe to her. I would say that she would definitely loved him, but more in like a family way. So that, and I also don't like how she seemed to be completely taken aback by the complexities of regeneration. I mean, she knew about regeneration. She met different versions of the Doctor, all of the versions of the Doctor in The Name of the Doctor, and also actually met and conversed with the two different versions of him in the Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special. And she also commented about how she understood the process of regeneration in the Time of the Doctor, which shows that she was very familiar with the concept. And the fact that in The Name of the Doctor she saw all and lived through all the experiences and moments of the Doctor in his lifetime shows that she would see how he was different in every incarnation, and so she should be more used to the fact that he would have been different. Yeah. And Clara just came off as very almost whiny and kind of nasty in this episode. But I think, and it was very hard for me to accept that she could have been like this when she wasn't anything like this at all in the earlier episodes. I just think Moffat was maybe kind of pushing or kind of milking the whole idea of getting used to a new Doctor, because even Rose wasn't as like out of place as this about a new Doctor. She was more or less able to cope with the Doctor being different, not just emotionally but physically different. But she didn't even know about regeneration until after he regenerated. Yes, but I just think kind of Moffat was just kind of just pushing the envelope a little too far with Clara being unable to cope with this new Doctor. But I do like how he kind of like put the kibosh on it when at the end she talked to the 11th Doctor on the phone, who told her the new Doctor is going to need your help. He's very like frightened and uncertain about himself now because he's just been born. He needs you to like be there and guide him through this whole thing, which is a kind of like a gentle way of him telling Clara, just knock it off and accept this new guy. He needs you, so get off your high horse and just be there for him. He needs you. And it seems that at that point Clara was finally able to accept that this guy is the Doctor, despite the fact that she should have already been able to accept that, considering that she had met different versions of him and also had known about regeneration. It just seems like the whole episode she was just really not her normal self, but finally Moffat was able to just knock some sense into her by using the other Doctor to just kind of give her one last fix of her old Doctor before she was able to move on to this new one. That said, I also one thing I didn't really care for was the new title theme. Seems like lately Moffat's been just changing things up way too often. Like the second half of Series 7, we got a new look for the TARDIS and a new title sequence, and now that gone, we already have now a brand new one, and it just seems like way too soon to have a new look to the TARDIS and a new title. And the title I thought was very out of place compared to the other previous intros Doctor Who, which always more or less had the Doctor flying through the time vortex or flying in space. Maybe he would. I can understand wanting to be a little more original and shake things up, but I just don't think the new title theme worked. The gears, the traveling through a tunnel with the Roman numerals for time, I just don't think it worked. But that's just me. And also, the title card for the episode at the very end was just so super tiny. You kind of almost had to squint in order to see what the title of the episode was at the end, and it faded way too quickly. Like, deep breath, I see Moffat. Okay, it's gone. Yeah. At least with the previous one in the last season, you at least had the space to read it, and you had enough time to read it before it went into the episode. But I also, one last nitpick is that I didn't like how we didn't see the Doctor's change of wardrobe. In every incarnation of the Doctor, or most of them except for the Ninth Doctor, I think, we always saw the wardrobe scene where the Doctor goes to a mirror and then goes through different outfits, or he just grabs outfits to change into, because the closest thing we saw is when he stole the old clothes from that homeless guy and from one of the robots. But then after that, we didn't really see much. I would have preferred to have been able to see the Doctor's wardrobe change, to see as he's sorting through different outfits, the different elements of his personality coming to kind of stabilizing until they settle on clothes that will reflect his personality. So yeah, that's all. That's pretty much I have to say. I thought it was a very overall a great episode, a great way to start the series. Very few minute flaws. Well, only two minute flaws and one kind of big flaw, but which overall didn't harm the series, or I should say the episode, not series, because the series is still going on. But I definitely really believe it was pulled off very well, and it was a great way to start the new season. I'm looking forward to the next few episodes. I can't wait to see his encounters with the Daleks. Is he going to know the Daleks are coming, or is he going to be surprised? I am. And what are they going to think when they see this new Doctor? Well, they're probably not going to think anything at all. They're just going to think, oh, it's the Doctor, he's got a new body, let's kill him. But I really enjoyed how this new Doctor was presented and how they did this episode, so I'm Moffat, you did a great job, and congratulations. And, well, don't know why I'm congratulating you, there's no reason to, but, well, I guess there's reason to, but whatever, that's besides the point. Great work on this episode. I can't wait to see what you and your staff have got coming up, and I'm trying to avoid reading the spoilers, and I refuse to try and find those leaked episodes because I want to be at least somewhat surprised. It was very hard to not try and look at some of the clips, and I really just liked this episode, and I'm excited to see what comes up. That's pretty much it. All right, well, thanks for watching this. Everyone have a great day, and peace out.